We're thundering towards the Moto America AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. This round is Moto America Superbike Speed Fest at Monterey at the famed WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. It's our fifth round of 9 for 2023 in Monterey, California, and it's time for Mission King of the Baggers race number 2. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time AMA champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, this championship has closed up because of, well, a very interesting race yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday you saw Kyle Wyman was on the back of Tyler O'Hara nearly the whole race. Passed him very, very late, only to make some big mistakes. And we'll look at the highlights to just see that. You can see Tyler O'Hara here gets a good start, gets up underneath our pole sitter, Kyle Wyman, as they go up over turn 1. And this is kind of the race at the front. And you can see James Rispoli here. He gets past Bobby Fong. He made an early run at the 2 leaders. He closed that gap down only to lose a little time towards the end. Hayden Gillen was the man on the move, though. He got a bad start yesterday, Greg, but he started to whittle his way through this field. As you can see him behind his teammate, James Rispoli, in the background there. Tyler O'Hara was getting in turn 2 really deep, lap after lap, and on this one, he just got it a little bit wrong, ran a little bit wide, but on the last lap, he dove down the inside of Wyman to take the lead in the corkscrew. These guys would race down through Rainy Corner, down into turn 10. On the exit of turn 10, Tyler O'Hara moved over to the left, got in there a little bit too tight to crash, only then to see Kyle Wyman crash right behind him. Both those guys are picking up their bikes. Hayden Gillen and James Rispoli give Vance and Hines Harley-Davidson another 1-2, their second time this year. Incredible for
Gillen. And after his first win, that also gives James Rispoli an edge in the points. But, Jay, this is incredible here at Mission King of the Baggers. We have had 7 races this season, and we've had 4 different winners, with Kyle Wyman winning 4 of them total. Yeah, and the crazy part of this here is not seeing defending champion Tyler O'Hara with a win yet. So he's still chipping away trying to get that. But, yeah, we've had 4 different winners, and who knows, we might see another one today. Yeah, we've seen some incredible speed this morning. But this guy, number 79, gets a better start today. Could he grab his second win in a row? We'll find out coming up.
Mission King of the Baggers coverage is brought to you by Mission Foods, the world's leading brand for tortillas and wraps. By Dunlop, the official tire of the Moto America Championship Series. By Geico. Visit geico.com to see how easy covering your ride can be. And by Drag Specialties, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket parts and accessories for Harley-Davidson and custom V-twin motorcycles.
Back at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca here in Monterey, California, under a beautiful sunny sky, as we're ready for Mission King of the Baggers, race number 2 of the weekend. It's Kyle Wyman, Tyler O'Hara, and Bobby Fong on the front row. Jason Pridmore.
Next, yesterday's winner, Hayden Gillen, and this morning's fastest runner, James Rispoli, are going to line up alongside Travis Wyman. Then we have Jake Lewis, Owensburg, Flinders, West, McWilliams, and Garcia. Cole King, Patricia Fernandez, Eric Stahl, and Danny Spina are going to round out our field. And yesterday's race, Greg, was interesting. Obviously, the finish was something that we hadn't really seen before, with both the factory Harley and the factory Indian of those 2 guys sliding down the road together. And that was interesting. And, you know, we were laughing about it because Kyle's bike made it all the way to the gravel, and Tyler's didn't. So Kyle was able to. Kyle had a little bit more of a struggle getting that bike up out of the gravel than Tyler did. So Tyler gained in the championship yesterday just by the fact that his bike didn't quite go into the gravel, and he was able to pick it up a little quicker. So we'll see what those 2 guys can do to keep us entertained today.
So according to my points, Mission King of the Baggers, Moto America provides for us. Kyle Wyman and James Rispoli tied up 123 apiece in this championship. Bikes are in gear, lights are on when they're off, we're rolling. Here we go, and it looked like a really good launch from the 33 of Kyle Wyman.
Yeah, it really did, and O'Hara was just a little tiny bit late, but let's see if he tries to do anything. Nope. Kyle keeps it nice and tight down into turn 1, and then you see Hayden Gillen moving into 3rd. James Rispoli slots himself into 4th, so the loser on that run down to turn 1, unfortunately, was the 50 of Bobby Fong. So he's going to slide himself back to 5th. You can see Travis Wyman and Jeremy McWilliams battling just behind him right now, so they're going to single out before they get through turn 4, and it's the same 2 guys up front that we saw yesterday.
8 laps scheduled for this one. Top of your screen. Screaming Eagle Harley Davidson on that road glide is Kyle Wyman, the former #1 plate. running the 33. And that team showed up this year with this unbelievable paint scheme on this Harley-Davidson. But it's Tyler O'Hara on the number 1 trying to hold on to it as they go up to the corkscrew. This is kind of the pace that we saw from Wyman earlier in the weekend when they run the 3-lap challenge race.
That's right. And the two Harley-Davidsons from Vance and Hines are the two that are taking up the chase on these guys. And those guys ended up going 1-2 yesterday, but neither, I don't think, were happy. Although Hayden Gillen was a lot closer to the leaders than James was. But they want to try to take it to these boys up at the front and show some of that Vance and Hines power.
We look off in the background. I believe that's Bobby Fong in 5th place. Oh, and it looked like a big mistake. Yeah, a big mess is Travis Wyman trying to find some real estate onto the front straightaway.
See Max Flinders in there as well. Max has been riding really well on the baggers this weekend, and you can see he's just in there now behind those two Indians of McWilliams. So Max Flinders up to 7th. I think Ownsorg is the other one there.
A 1:30.6 from a dead stop for Kyle Wyman. On the 33, number 1, Tyler O'Hara. 79 is Hayden Gillen. 43 is James Rispoli. And I mentioned earlier, Rispoli's really got to keep his eyes on what Kyle Wyman's doing if he's got any hopes of keeping this championship in sight. Those two coming in with 123 points apiece. Hayden Gillen at 114, only 9 back in this title chase. So snug up top.
Yeah, a couple things as it looks like Rispoli is taking a shot. He is at his teammate as they go up into the corkscrew. Rispoli slides himself up into 3rd. One of the things that he had told me that he is working on is carrying a little bit more roll through 5 and 6. He could tell that he was losing quite a bit of time as his right leg came off the peg there. So he's pushing hard as the 43, quickest in warm-up this morning, as I said earlier.
So Kyle Wyman coming through the final corner onto the front straightaway, giving us an opportunity to check in with the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Hannah Lopa. Hey, Hannah.
Hey, guys. The bikes are just going by me here on the straightaway, and I'm looking at both of those Vance and Hines bikes. I checked in with Terry Vance and asked him, what is it that's allowed your riders to be so incredibly consistent this season? They're just doing really well. They've made huge gains, and he said, we're chipping away at it little by little. The development of these bikes has just been pushed to astronomical heights, and they're really trying to chip away at that gap to the factory boys. So doing their homework between rounds, getting it on the dyno, just looking for every little last bit of power they can possibly squeak out of these motorcycles.
And there's one person who loves being back in road racing, and it is definitely Terry Vance.
He is loving this class, too. He's having so much fun with it when I saw him yesterday. And here's a guy who's been around so many different aspects of racing, obviously an NHRA champion in Pro Stock bikes for many years, and he is getting a kick out of this class. And I love the fact that his company is involved and they have pushed the fact to get up to these factory bikes, because we've seen the factory bikes dominate for so long. But look at those guys in 3rd and 4th, and I mean, he's got 2 great riders. So it's really made that program nice to watch as it gets bigger.
And importantly for Vance and Hines as a company, what they're developing here in Mission King of the Baggers, as it looks like the number 1 plate makes a huge mistake, goes sideways. That's going to relegate Rispoli to 3rd and Hayden Gillen on those Vance and Hines motorcycles to 3rd spot. What I was saying is that a lot of these parts are available to the dealers that deal with Vance and Hines. And so there's dealers that can upgrade their models to what these Mission King of the Baggers have, and that is really attractive for Terry Vance. A 1:28.897, fastest lap of the race so far. That's credited to the 43 of James Rispoli.
Now we're going to see if he can close that gap up to the back of the 33, because even though he went the quickest lap of the race, it was only 2/10 quicker than the guy at the front, Kyle Wyman. And I'm a little bit concerned right now, Tyler O'Hara, why he's slipping back as far as he is. I didn't see exactly what happened, Greg. I don't know if you saw there, but it just looked like the bike got a little bit loose on him down through Rainy Corner, opened up the door for Rispoli and Hayden. But O'Hara right now hasn't been able to just fire back and respond. So we're going to keep an eye on the number 1 here and see if he can start closing that gap back up. If you would have told me that Tyler O'Hara hasn't won a race since Daytona last year, I would have been shocked. When I looked at that fact, I couldn't believe it, because he's way too good, and we know what racing means to him, and especially being on that factory Indian. So obviously he's struggling just a little bit as he's fallen way back now off our lead trio of bikes.
Kyle Wyman handily leading this group, this trio of Harley-Davidsons.
Oh, Max. I just did it to him, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Unfortunately, on the M3 Revolution Performance motorcycle, Max Flinders down in this one, who's had a great run this season in Moto America across the board.
Oh, yeah, he goes off in turn 6. Probably there's a dip in the middle of turn 6, some ground clearance issues maybe on these bikes, obviously as heavy as they are. We don't see that young man fall very often. Great, Greg. Max is a guy that everybody loves in the paddock, and I'm bummed because I just got done saying how well he's riding these bikes. I was watching him on Friday, and he got up to speed really quickly on Friday, so shame to see that.
So James Rispoli trying to close the gap on Kyle Wyman. Hayden Gillum hanging there as well. The one thing we know about Gillum is he seems to be he keeps getting stronger and stronger later in the race, but normally it's because he hasn't made a great start. They're starting to spread out a little bit. There's 3.5 laps to go in Mission King of the Baggers race number 2 here from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Wyman, Rispoli, Gillum, Tyler O'Hara fading back, Jeremy McWilliams in 5th, Owen Sorg in 6th, Travis Wyman, Jake Lewis, Corey West, and Bobby Fong back in 10th spot, just ahead of Frankie Garcia.
And this guy here, Tyler O'Hara, knows is that if these guys up in front of him start to engage just a little bit with passing, these bikes are big and heavy and wide. So if they start to mess around with each other, he can continue to fight back, can't he, Hannah?
He can. And Jay, you were talking about how passionate Tyler O'Hara is about this sport, and specifically this bagger class. He is the only rider in the field that has been in every single bagger race round since the inaugural round here 4 years ago. And I asked him, how much has it changed since then? And he said they have made leaps and bounds as far as development goes, and he's just really honored to be able to be a part of this series. And he said no matter what happens, he's going to continue to leave it all out there on the track race after race.
Yeah, that's part of the Indian Motorcycle Progressive Mission Foods. He's on the Indian Challenger. If you're watching this for the first time and you own an Indian Challenger, this is kind of like your bike. These motorcycles.
Yeah, a little bit.
Add a sprinkle of $100,000+ to it, and that's where you're at, right?
Exactly right. Now, as we get back to the front, 29.0 for Kyle Wyman, fastest lap of the race, which would be really good, except the guy right behind him, Greg, just went even quicker, 28.7 for Rispoli. So he has been able to kind of get to the back, and we don't know if Wyman's not going to know that the guy right behind him is another Harley, because the last time he passed a guy, it was O'Hara. So unless it's on his board that it's the 43 of Rispoli, as you can see him getting in there a little deep, late comes out. But Rispoli has closed that gap at a 28.7. Now, also, the other guy that's been in the 28s this race, there's only one other one, and that's the man in 3rd. Hayden Gillum did a 28.9 a few laps back. But they're just ever so slightly pulling away from him.
Yeah, you got to think for Hog Spoli right now, you get up there and just settle down and see what Kyle's doing to do the times he's doing. But Rispoli pushing super hard right now. And, in talking to James Rispoli, he said his favorite thing about racing Mission King of the Baggers is how forgiving these motorcycles are moving around. And Rispoli, of course, an American flat track national champion in his own right. He knows how to dirt track, so he enjoys when the bike moves around. Kyle Wyman goes personal best, 28.9. Rispoli, 28.8. And 28.9 for Hayden Gillum.
Yep, Gillum's still hanging in there. So O'Hara, 29.8. So we got 2 laps to go. The thing is, catching Kyle on these bikes is one thing. Being able to pass him is another. He's very smooth, runs very consistently fast lines. He's a tremendous braker. Told me yesterday, he said that he's, one of the biggest things in our telecast we made yesterday is how much more stable his bike looks. He says, I've really learned to kind of get off the rear brake, like not be on it as much. It's allowed him to keep his roll speed and corner speed up a little bit more. He also felt yesterday that if he got through turn 5 and 6 ahead of Tyler, that he was kind of home free. And he said the pass that O'Hara made, he said, was incredible. He said, I didn't think he was going to make it, and he did make it. So we talked about the incident in 11, and it was just that brief little bit of lapse of concentration. He said, Jay, as I saw him going down, I thought he's crashing. And the next thing you know, I was crashing right behind him. So just the smallest lapse of concentration, as Wyman right now is pushing hard to try to break away from James.
Yeah, and it was just really a superb run down into the corkscrew. All the while, Hayden Gillum again has put himself in a position, just in case disaster strikes, to win another race. Now, what about the factory Harley-Davidson versus the Vanson Hines Harley-Davidson in terms of top speed as they come across the line to take the white flag, the final lap of the race? we're talking about 142 miles an hour versus 142 miles an hour. So here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, Jason, it's not the fastest in terms of top speed. We don't have a big straightaway, but the important thing is that Rispoli and Wyman's motorcycles, in terms of that top speed, are very close, and that's what Vance and Hines has been working on for the last year or so.
And the reliability also is incredible that we've seen through these big teams, as far as the reliability and the money they've put in the R&D to get these bikes more reliable and as fast as they are. I mean, Greg, 28.9, these are like super sport times that they're running, and top super sport times. We saw Hayes and Chavi Fords in the 7s yesterday, but our third place guy was 28.0. These guys are in the 28s right now, and you can see Wyman doing exactly what you'd expect champion to do. Is he's just starting to get away.
He ripped turn 6, a great drive out of turn number 5. This is where Wyman has been super strong. In through the corkscrew. Ooh, a little wide there, but he's got to be able to get it turned. There is some lap traffic up ahead. So Rispoli, he's got a gap to make up, and it is nearly impossible to make that gap up here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca unless something happens like lap traffic. And Jay, it might be into turn 11, the 199. Kyle's got to go up the inside. Here comes Hog Spoli. He's trying to make a lunge. Kyle's got it turned. He makes it through this time. And the run to the checkered flag. And Rispoli shakes his head. It's going to be Kyle Wyman with a big victory over Rispoli and Hayden Gillum. And it's going to be an all Harley-Davidson podium here in Mission King of the Baggers, race number 2. And Kyle Wyman goes personal best lap, a 1:28.822 on his final lap, as does Hayden Gillum. For Rispoli, not quite the cleanest last lap, but he will walk away with the fastest lap of the race, a 1:28.783 for the 43.
Gillum ran his personal best on the last lap at a 28.8. So, and again, Kyle ran his best lap, like you say, Greg. So, yeah, good racing at the front.
Wheelies out of baggers. Love seeing it in our final race here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. And Kyle Wyman bouncing back after what could have been a points disaster yesterday. Able to pick it up off the deck after crashing in second place and scoring 7 points. And that will give Kyle Wyman the midseason championship lead. When we come back, we'll talk to him and find out how that race went under the pressure of Rispoli.
Mission King of the Baggers coverage is brought to you by Mission Foods, the world's leading brand for tortillas and wraps. By Dunlop, the official tire of the Moto America Championship Series. By Geico. Visit geico.com to see how easy covering your ride can be. And by Drag Specialties, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket parts and accessories for Harley-Davidson and custom V-twin motorcycles.
This is what it's all about at the end of the day, coming into Victory Circle and celebrating with your crew after a fantastic win. Kyle Wyman had all the pressure on him. Rispoli did everything he could. And the top 3, Jason Pridmore, just covered by 1 second.
Yeah, good racing. And you can get a look here at the results of that final. You see Kyle Wyman wins, like you say, Greg, 1 second of those top 3. O'Hara fell off the board a little bit there, 7.3 back. McWilliams better than yesterday, 5th. Travis Wyman. Owen Sorg, Jake Lewis, and Corey West on the Saddleman bikes back there in 8th and 9th.
Great race action, and Hannah is with our winner right now.
Kyle Wyman led this race from start to finish. Kyle, after yesterday, are you feeling a little bit of redemption? What was the mindset going into this race?
Nervous, you know. That was definitely a lot of nerves going into that one, but I knew if I could just get a good start and control the pace that I could just be there. And man, Rispoli kept me honest. He kept chipping away at that gap, and I was just, I was kind of on eggshells. It was so greasy that I know the pace was a little bit off from yesterday, but man, we pulled it off, and we got a Harley-Davidson lockout on the podium again, which is amazing, and yeah, huge thanks to my team.
You spent a lot of years growing up racing around James Rispoli, with him putting pressure on you there toward the end of the race. Did you kind of know what to expect based on your past experiences racing with him?
I mean, for sure knew what to expect. It's Hog Spoli's going to chuck it in there if he's got an opportunity, but I made sure I didn't give him that opportunity, and luckily we were able to hold off. That was a little bit scary with that lapper in the last corner as well, but yeah, we held him off, and big thanks to Harley-Davidson, Screaming Eagle, Owens USA, Mission Foods for huge support of this series and our team. And I want to dedicate this win to my wife because we just celebrated our 5-year anniversary, and I really appreciate her more than anybody in the world. So thanks, baby. I love you.
I'm sure she appreciates that too, Kyle Wyman. Today's race winner, James Rispoli, second place for you today. A really solid points haul for you as well this weekend. Definitely made good work of reeling Kyle in there. Where were you able to find some time to close that gap?
Yeah, man, this Vance and Hines, guys, we worked all night. We did something in the morning, and we made a little change for the race, and it worked, man. We're Gooch Patrouche over here, baby. Like, a deuce. And the only thing that sucks is Terry Vance, baby, if I won, we can get an espresso machine for the truck. So we're a little bit behind on that. We had to keep chipping at that. Thanks, Kyle. But, dude, like, I kept chipping at him. I felt like Pac-Man out there, just every lap getting closer and closer. And then he turned the afterburners on the last lap. And, yeah, I just couldn't quite get it. And then the lapper, and I was like, you're saying there's a chance. And I was like, man, hopefully we don't skittle him. But, yeah, super pumped. And, yeah, dose, let's go.
With Hayden Gillum hot on your tail, knowing full well what he's capable of, especially after yesterday's race, how do you kind of manage that risk versus reward, wanting to make that move on Kyle to try to get the win without letting your teammate get by you?
Yeah, I took one little peek back, and I saw I had a little bit of a gap, but everybody knows Hayden, man. He's a Tom Brady, 2-minute drill. He's going to be chomping at you. So for me, it was just head down, don't look back, try to get on Kyle there. But, yeah, I mean, for me, we don't want to crash this thing, but today I felt like I had the win, and I kind of lost it there. So if I had an opportunity, I was going to throw it in.
Congratulations. 2 second-place finishes for James Rispoli and Hayden Gillum rounding out your Mission King of the Baggers podium. Hayden, quite a lot of work there with James today, but he didn't quite get the best of you. Take us through that race.
Yeah, it was a lot better just from the get-go. The stuff we made on the starts, it was way better actually coming out of turn 1 and 3rd, and so that was great. And then this morning I just didn't feel like I had much, just physically, and then that race I don't know, I wasn't feeling it, and so third was as good as I could get. I was trying, but James made a good pass on me, and those guys were pushing, and I was trying, but man, I did get a little deja vu going in that last turn, though. I was kind of waiting, but they kept it upright, and it was good. But I don't know who this Tom Brady is guy he's talking about.
Congratulations, Hayden Gillum, rounding out your Harley-Davidson podium sweep for Mission King of the Baggers.
Astonishing. In one phrase, Hayden went to one of my favorite riders to not my favorite riders. I'll have to tell him who Tom Brady is. Yeah. It's Tom Brady, all right? Here's the point standings, 148. So it's 5 points difference between Kyle and Rispoli. We got ourselves a championship.
We do. Those three need their own show, for sure.
What an interview from Rispoli. Congratulations to this guy, Kyle Wyman, on an outstanding race win. Back at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca after an outstanding Mission King of the Baggers race number 2. And even better interviews from the top. Jay, here's what happened in race number 2. Take us through it.
Yeah, Kyle said he wanted to get out in front and try to control the pace. You heard him say he's a little bit greasy today. That's why he felt like the pace was a little bit slower. But Tyler O'Hara took up the challenge quickly, as you see Rispoli sliding up underneath his teammate for 3rd place into the corkscrew. That would actually turn into 2nd place as Tyler made a small mistake. I think he might have had a problem in the race, Greg. I don't know for sure, but Tyler just dropped back to 4th. These guys all battled up at the front. Rispoli kept chipping away, trying to get up to the back of the 33. Wasn't quite close enough at the end, though.
Our next one is Brainerd, Minnesota. Can't wait to see you there.